So here we are at Anne Hathaway's cottage, and we've just installed this pop-up display of souvenirs relating to Anne Hathaway's cottage from the 19th century onwards, and we've installed it in the gift shop. And this display is really intended as a pop-up display, isn't it? Of some items that wouldn't normally be accessible because they're stored in the Shakespeare Birthplace Trust collection. So to be able to bring these objects out and to make comparisons across them and think about how souvenirs have developed over time and how we still engage with souvenirs today.
Yes, and also about the nature of the value of items like this, items that end up stored in boxes because it's important that the collection has these items, but they don't really fit into the displays of high quality items that the SBT sort of focuses on. And that was one of the things that really interested both of us, is how these items have a different kind of value to other items in the collection, but actually the objects, I think you have mentioned to me that a lot of the objects have actually a really fascinating story as decorative objects.
But more than that, these are utilitarian objects. They're objects that are designed to be used in the home. So there's that really interesting mixture of quite significant iconography, meaningful iconography, and then the functional nature of the item. So thinking about how these things actually work in the home, how they operate in domestic life, in daily usage, how far people engage with these items as a reminder of a historic house visit, or how far it just becomes part of the furnishings and the styling of their own homes. So you then set up this relationship between the model of Anne Hathaway's cottage and all that it represents, and your own home. So that's a really interesting connection that's sort of re-performed every time the object is used, particularly in social relationships, because our homes are not private spaces, and certainly they were less private in the past, they were more sociable. So being able to use these things to stimulate conversation, to talk about visits that you've had to different properties, and to show your knowledge of heritage and history. So I think that these are all things that we continue to use souvenirs for, and it has a long tradition behind it.
And I think another thing that we've noticed in selecting the items for this pop-up display in particular is how carefully designed a lot of these items are. Tara's already mentioned that they are all designed, even where they're mass-produced, that they have a lot of thought has gone into their production. And I think that one of the interesting things is that these souvenirs are actually very high quality. They're trying to communicate lots and lots of different things in a very special way. They're items made for display. They're not items to hide away.
No, certainly not. You want them noted and noticed for their high quality. But at the same time they are used. So you're personally engaging with your souvenirs on a daily basis, but then you have these moments where you perform them, which is fascinating, because basically this is about the afterlives of these souvenir objects in your own home. So how you extend a museum visit from looking around the property, enjoying the atmosphere, gaining some knowledge of history, and then taking that, extending that visit by buying something in the gift shop and taking it home with you, maybe giving it as a gift to family, and again as a trigger to talking about your experience and how that consolidates your visit and your memory of that visit.